Okay, this is the warm-up. All you need is 10 minutes and just your body. So let's get started. You're gonna come down onto the mat into the 4-point position, and we always begin with diaphragmatic breath, so why stop now? We're gonna take a nice wide spread of the fingers and then flex through our spine into a cat stretch. Sorry if I'm talking into my mic here. Into the cat stretch. And you're gonna hold the cat stretch. It's a little bit of abdominal lift, flare through the ribs, and now breathe into the back. You're gonna inhale. And then exhale, increase the tuck of the pelvis, the lift of the ribs, and the protraction, elevation of the shoulder blades. Hold for another inhale. Tuck, flex. Inhale. Get the belly to expand, get the back to expand, and then curl on the exhale, deepen the stretch. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, round. And then you're going to come into a nice flat back position. Walk the hands one hand span further up the mat. You're going to drop back into a child's pose position. Focus on keeping your back flat, opening through your rib cage or flaring through your shoulder blades, so you're lowering your chest to the floor. You're going to stay here for a breath where you're thinking about breathing right into your armpits and opening up the ribs laterally. On the exhale, you're going to swing your pelvis forward and step forward into a low-lying lunge position. Either on the mat or off the mat. You're going to feel an opening through your groin and your pelvis here. You're going to transfer weight back into your upper body and step back and drop into that low-lying lunge. Take a breath. Exhale, come forward and step up on the other side, lowering the pelvis to the floor. Now, it's not uncommon when we're doing this particular exercise that people do have a hard time getting their foot all the way up to their hand. They can't quite make it if that's the case. And it was me for years. You're just going to grab a hold of the foot and step it up, okay? And then getting the stretch and lowering the pelvis down. That's completely fine. An alternative would be elevating through the hands. You can place the hands up onto some yoga blocks, and that will also make the exercise a lot more accessible. One more time. Stepping up, lowering the pelvis, opening through the hips. One more on the other side. You're going to push the knee out to the side and try and lower the pelvis. Nice and low. Great. From there, you're just going to turn to sideways facing on the mat. Just come into tall kneeling for a moment, just so you can send one leg down the length of the mat and turn the foot to face forward. From there, you're going to open the foot and the kneeling knee a little bit apart, and then come down onto your hands with a flat back posture. You're going to open up until you feel a bit of a stretch through your inner thigh through this extended leg, this straight leg. And then you're going to rock back as if you're going to sit down on the heel of this bent knee and lower your pelvis to the floor as you get more of an inner thigh stretch, and then just rock forward. So it's an inhale to drop back and an exhale to pull forward. Okay, we're just going to do that 4 times, so 2 more times. This opening through the hips will really prepare us nicely for some of our squat work later on. You're going to reclaim that leg. Just walk down the mat in one direction and send your opposite leg out. Again, make sure the toe is facing forward. Open the bottom knee until you get a little bit of stretch through your inner thigh, groin again. And then we're going back into those hip rocks. Just for 4 repetitions, so 1 more. Okay, from there you're going to reclaim that leg and turn back into your 4-point position on the mat. We're just going to do a little bit of hip activation here now by doing a donkey kick with a hip abduction. So we're just going to come down onto our forearms for this exercise, just to give our wrists a bit of a break actually. Keeping the knees hip width apart, looking down towards your fingertips so your upper body is nice and active. You're going to take your right foot and swing it up towards the sky, keeping a 90-degree bend in the knee. Then you're going to circle the knee up and around as if you're going to pull it out to the side, and then all the way up towards your elbow on that same side, and then back down to the stop position. 4 like that. What you're going to notice when you're doing this exercise is you're actually activating a lot through your core stabilization, through your upper body, as well as mobilizing through the hips. So it really is actually full body warm-up exercise. One more time. And up, circle it around as big as you can, and return. Other side, keep looking at your fingertips. Activity through the upper body. Kick into your donkey kick. Open up to the side and circle around for 4. Straight back to the ceiling. Activate through the glute. Open up and around to the side. Feel those side hip muscles. Activate. Try not to collapse into the supporting side here. We're not wanting to swing our hips into that side. You want to stay relatively square to the mat. Last one. Okay, and then you're going to work yourself up just into your toe kneeling position. We're going to go knees together so that you can step 1 foot forward into your lunge. From there, you're going to curl the pelvis and press the hip forward. Take the hands out to the side. We're going to stretch up so that the hand that's reaching up towards the ceiling is the same side as the kneeling knee. And laterally flex the spine. And return to the stop position. I suggest inhaling as you reach up and over. It'll help the ribs flare and increase the stretch. One more time. Press that hip forward, lift, reach, up and over. And return 4 on the other side. Big inhale, get the diaphragm to stretch, the belly to open, and then the ribs to flare. And exhale to return. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Return. Okay, from there, we're going to reclaim that front foot. Walk to the front edge of the mat. A nice wide spread of the fingers. We're going to step back into our plank position with wide feet. From here, we're just going to lift into our piked position where we're going to go hips up, lower the heels down, bend one knee and drop the opposite heel, and you're going to walk back and forth. This is walking the dog in the down facing dog position to mobilize through the calf and ankles. For 3, last one. Floating back into your plank position. You're going to bring one knee up close to your chest and then step it back, and the other knee up close to your chest and step it back. Try and keep your hips down in this position. Don't let the hips float up towards the ceiling, and keep a good portion of your weight in your upper body here. You should be firing through the core, but also working hard to stabilize with your upper body. Getting range of motion through the hips. From here, you're going to walk yourself back, if you can, into your forward fold position. Take a breath and roll on up, taking that same movement pattern, that same shape, driving the knees up, but now in standing. So it's basically just marching. As we're marching here, try and make sure that your knees come up at least to hip height, if not above hip height. Okay, and then you're going to have counter or contralateral arms, just as you would in a normal walking motion. You want to try and keep yourself centered on the mat so you're not sort of wandering around the mat. Try and stay in exactly the same spot throughout. And your upper body stays nice and tall, looking straight ahead is a really helpful cue, both to stay balanced, but also to keep the posture in the right position. Here, we're going to turn to sideways facing on the mat. We're going to take that stretch that we did earlier into a higher level, a more dynamic and active position. You're going to go nice and wide and turn the toes so that they're facing forward. From here, you're going to keep your left leg straight or your right leg straight, doesn't matter, but you're going to bend the opposite leg, reach the hips back like you're doing a hip hinge motion, and lower down as far as you can go. If you can open up a little bit more, then go ahead and do so to get more of an inner thigh stretch. Make sure you're pushing your knee out of the bent leg, not allowing it to collapse in. You can use your elbow to physically push it out as long as you're not rolling your foot out. Then you're just going to glide across and do the same on the other side. You're going to go back and forth 5 times. Every time I'm going into a new rep, I'm thinking, can I get it a little bit lower? Can I improve the form in some way? Last one here. Okay, then we're going to come through center, walk the feet in. The feet are now just shoulder width apart, and we're just going to be finishing with squats here for 8 repetitions. When we're doing our squats in this position, we're thinking of our deep squat, our upright squat. So we're wanting to, yes, the hips are going to go back, but the upper body is going to counterbalance forward. However, in a deep squat, my chest stays up. I stay looking up. I'm going to use my arms to help me counterbalance. I'm pushing the knees out nice and wide, and ideally my hips are coming slightly below the height of the knee. So this is the height of the knee, this is slightly below the height of the knee, and then driving all the way through to the top. Okay, we're going to 8 like that. This is 3. 6, 7, and 8. Okay, that's our warm up. Time to get started with the workout. Okay, so you've joined me for a fundamentals workout, which means we're going to be focusing on mobility, core strength and stability, joint stability, as well as postural strength throughout the workout. This particular workout has 4 separate blocks. Each block has 4 exercises. Each exercise we're going to do for 12 repetitions, 1 through 4, and then we're going to repeat for a second set, 1 through 4 again. You just have to follow along with me. All you need for this workout is 2 sets of dumbbells. 1 in the light range, anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds, and 1 in the medium heavy range, so anything from 12 up to 20 pounds. Of course, that's going to vary based upon the particular exercise and your experience with strength training. I wouldn't think it's the worst thing in the world to have even a selection of different weights within that range if you know that you need a lot of variety. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to begin in the lunge position with just 1 of the medium dumbbells. So I have a 15-pound dumbbell here. You're going to set up in the lunge position, curling your pelvis, pressing your hip forward. This is your primary base of stability here. You're going to take a hold of the dumbbell, holding the ends of the weights, end on end. Lunge halos. We're going to take one end of the dumbbell and place it on the shoulder. It's then going to come behind the head, where I'm focusing on dropping it behind the head and lifting my elbows to the ceiling. I'm then bringing it to the opposite shoulder and then finishing it with it in front of my chest again. And ideally, this happens in one fluid motion. Okay, I'm going to do that 12 times in one direction. If this happens to be an exercise, which this one does, where you have one side of the body and then the other side of the body, we'll basically do one side continuously for one set, and then we'll do the other side of the body for the second set. So we have to remember if we did our left or our right. Always a fun part of the workout. Remembering what you did. We've got 2 more here. You should be counting yourself out for 12. Obviously go at your own particular pace. One thing that I'm just going to note here is making sure that your head doesn't move. Sometimes when the weight comes behind, we have a tendency to sort of want to crane our head forward and out of the way. Our goal here is that our upper body range of motion is being increased versus moving the head out of the way. Okay, from here we're going to move into half squat chops. Okay, so you're going to go nice and wide through the knees, and you're going to sit into the half squat position, which is a little bit of a hip hinge mechanic with a nice flat back. We're also going to be placing the weight beside one knee. So what you're going to notice is most of your weight actually shifts into one side, and that is on purpose here. I'm wanting you to predominantly use one hip throughout the exercise. I'm going to use the same working leg as last exercise, so I remember what I'm doing. Okay, so I want you to think thrust through that hip and rotate with the weight. So we're taking the weight down easily, thrusting through the hip to swing the weight up and overhead while also rotating. I'm doing two primary things here. I'm learning how to use a hip hinge mechanic, which mostly uses my hip muscles only, not a lot of thigh. And I'm translating that through my arms. So I'm practicing my core brace and coming into a neutral position at the top. So what I don't want to see is an arched back here. You want to really tuck the pelvis and squeeze the glutes at the top. And exhale as you come up. Inhale as you lower down. For 3, 2, last one. Okay, third exercise in the set. You're gonna take one of your lighter weights. I have a 5-pound, anything 2, 3 would also be fine. You're gonna come down into your 4-point position and just make sure you have your weight in the vicinity. You're gonna extend one leg back behind you, making sure you keep your hips stacked over your knee. You haven't drifted back here, okay? You usually know because you have weight in your upper body that feels like it's working. You're gonna pick up your weight, and to do this, you're already gonna notice extra exertion through the stabilizing shoulder, as well as a bit of a core brace. You're gonna take that weight and do the eye of the needle. So you're gonna reach it underneath the opposite armpit and roll through your shoulder for this exercise. You're then gonna bring it through and onto the chest, and then press it out to the side, keeping it in line with the shoulder, and the shoulder blade packed down the back. Inhale to reach across the body. Exhale to square up and press it out to the side. Inhale. Exhale. So to do this, I have to be able to roll through my shoulder joint. So my shoulder is working really quite hard here to help lift my body back to square. And then my core brace is working hard to stabilize me back in the start position as I press this weight out to the side, which also requires me to use the back of this shoulder on my right side here. 4 more. Last one. That felt challenging. Okay, and then the last one is still on our hands. We're going to do a rotation with a push-up. So you're going to come into a modified plank position. Again, wide spread of the fingers. You're going to walk your knees back so that you can swing your hips through until you've created a straight line from your shoulder joint through your hip joint to your knees. The tendency here is to allow the hips to sort of break and drift backwards. And you know that's happened because you've taken weight out of your upper body. Ideally, your hips are swung through and you're slightly engaging through your buttocks. Your knees need to be wide here, otherwise you will feel unbalanced because we are going to release one arm and rotate to the ceiling. Notice the hips glide a little bit open, but it's mostly lifting and rotating through the upper body. Return to the start position and then do a push-up. Okay, now we talk a lot about push-up mechanic throughout a lot of our workouts. It should be something that you feel quite familiar with. Oh man, this is hard on your core. But for now, I just really want you to focus on keeping your shoulders down. We can only think about so many things when we're doing a pretty dynamic series. So I just want you to focus on shoulders being down before you do your next push-up. Again, we're going for 12 in total. There's a rotation and then a push-up. Last one. Ooh, drift back. Okay, so that was our first 4 exercises. Hopefully you're really feeling warmed up now, and all we have to do is just go through the exact same series of exercises but on the other side. So I think I will just turn around, taking up my bigger weight again for our halos in the lunge position. So I was kneeling on my right side last time, so I'm going to kneel on my left, curling through the pelvis, staying up nice and tall,
squeezing the buttock to press the hip forward, lift the weight up on or in front of your chest. We go to shoulder, behind, to shoulder in front. Oh, I can't remember if I changed directions. I should have done 6 in each direction. I think I did. That's okay. We're fixing it this time around. 5 and 6. Okay, half squat chops, wide kneeling position, pressing hips all the way through. We're going to sit down in one direction, take the weight to the floor, and then a good hip thrust and over your opposite shoulder. Squeeze, thrust. You're going to really notice because this weight is going up and overhead, and because you're channeling energy from your hips through your torso, the breath is going to be so much more important here. So getting a strong exhalation to thrust upwards, so important. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo. Okay. 4-point position for doing our eye of the needle exercise. So here we go. Take your weight with you, extending the opposite leg to the hand that's going to lift the weight, right? Square yourself up, lift the weight up, reach it underneath your body, stretch it across the floor, bring it to your chest, and press it out to the side. Inhale as you reach across, roll through your stabilizing shoulder, roll out of your stabilizing shoulder to square up and press it out to the side. Be careful not to flap this weight up. Some people would choose to go faster here because it is hard to hold a weight with that long straight arm lever. So go slower. If in doubt, go slower. All right. Okay, from here, you ready? 12 more push-ups. You into that? Let's do it. Wide spread at the fingers. Tuck the pelvis. Here we go. You're gonna rotate, reach to the ceiling, square yourself up. Push up. So notice I got 2 breaths every rep here. Exhale here to rotate. Exhale as you push away from the floor. All right, that was the end of our block. So I think it's always nice to do a little bit of stretching, specifically when you're resting between our blocks, and specifically the muscles that we were predominantly working. That particular series felt quite hard on the upper body, a lot of upper body stabilization. Definitely feel like I want to decompress my wrists a little bit towards the end. I'm just going to focus on opening up through my chest and shoulders. So to do that, I'm just going to open into this nice goalie pose and actively stretch. So in this position, I'm thinking actually of pulling my elbow forward while I pull my hand back. That's stretching and activating through the rotator cuff. And then similarly, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together to stretch through my chest and shoulders. You can reach back behind you and integrate in the bicep. Bend, open, elbow forward, hands back, and reach back behind you. And do that 2 more times. Bend, rotate the elbow forward and hand back, open the chest, stretch back, spiral the thumb back, open the chest one last time, shoulders down, rotate, press back, reach back, rotate back, squeeze through the mid back one more time, and rest. That felt good. Okay, so we have a new block, a new 4 sets of exercises. First one is bridge marching. So I'm just gonna slide the weights out of the way a little bit here. Come to laying down on my back. You wanna be laying down with your feet hip width apart, only hip width apart, knees tracking in a line with your hip joint, hands down by your sides, setting your shoulder blades down. From here, you're gonna squeeze your glutes to initiate, and then lift through the hips by driving primarily through the hips. So you're really thinking about how you're lifting from the hip, not throwing your rib cage forward at all. In this position, you're gonna transfer weight into your left side almost imperceptibly through the hips. You can't really see much shift happening as you lift your right leg into tabletop and place it down. You shift, so the force is now, or your hips are being held up primarily through the right hip as you float your left leg into tabletop. Replacing left, floating right. Replacing right, floating left. Okay, that's 4. And of course, we have 12 reps. We're already halfway. It's really key in this exercise. You can do it really quickly and sort of miss the value of it. The key is being able to shift your weight almost imperceptibly. So I love to take my time when my feet are down to create that shift. It's a new activation through the new leg, which makes this exercise harder to do, but much more about the fine-tuning and technical execution. Finish holding the hips up and releasing them down. All right, from here, to come up, you can certainly roll to the side and use your upper body to help yourself up. In my classes, I often challenge people to roll to come up, even if it takes them a few times, because just practicing that sort of dynamic movement through the spine and using the core in that way is really valuable for lots of people. It's a mind-body thing, right? Once your brain gets used to it, it's absolutely available, but it's not something we intuitively like to do, especially as we get older. Next up, you're gonna grab some of the smaller weights, the 3s or the 5s. We're gonna be doing a straight arm lat pull in the bent over row position. So you're gonna be standing on the mat or on the floor with feet straight and hip width apart. And then we're gonna come into a bent over row position, which is about hinging at the hips and slowly softening the knees. Notice that my knees barely come forward at all. They stay either stacked over my ankle or just slightly in front of the ankle. My back is remaining flat, shoulder blades set down, neutral spine. From here, I'm gonna set the shoulder blades down the back as I lift my arms up as if I'm trying to reach my hands past my hips. My hands are coming up just slightly higher than hip height, and I'm squeezing through the center of my back. Up and down with lots of control here is really important, and constantly pulling the shoulders away from the ears. And by that I mean pulling the shoulders down, but also wrapping them back. Notice that my upper body is not moving as I do this exercise. And the tendency is to wanna either allow the head of the shoulder to fold forward as we lift, and we don't want that. We want the shoulders slowly gliding down and back as we lift. Or people will start to grip with their ribs and lift through their mid-back here, which isn't ideal either. Lift and squeeze, control, release. 4 more. Nice place to breathe into the back. Big belly breaths. That was 12. Awesome. Okay. From here, we're going to move into a frog squat. Frog squat is just as much about mobility as the strength component. You're going to notice both. We're going to go quite wide as the mat. And it's basically a deep squat to initiate. So you want to come into the squat position but keep your upper body quite upright, all the way until you can place your elbows on the insides of your knees. And then you're going to try and pry your knees apart by pushing with your elbows. From there, if you can drop into more of a squat, then go ahead. You may or may not be able to. And then you're gonna lift until you're trying to straighten your legs. I can't fully straighten them while keeping my elbows still on the inside of the knees. As you sit back down, you're gonna look up, press the knees apart, make sure you're keeping the heels planted on the floor. The tendency here is for either the heels to lift or the feet to spin, meaning the heels will pull in and the toes will turn out. We're trying to prevent both of those things happening, although they might happen a little bit. So I'm working the mobility of my hips. And I'm noticing my thighs burning. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, from there we're gonna do the 4-point hovers, everyone's favorite. We're gonna add a leg extension as well into the 4-point hover. So you're gonna come down onto the mat. If your wrists have had enough, you can do this one on your elbows. Again, I'm gonna stay on my hands, but if you need to go down to your elbows, you can. 4-point position from here, taking a nice big breath, creating your core brace before you lift into the hover hold. Now without your torso moving, you're gonna slide one leg to straight and slide it back in and re-find that 4-point hover hold. Sliding the opposite leg away, slide it back in for 2. Two more at the side. And with control. Lower to the floor. That means we're back at the beginning with our bridges marching. There you go. Laying down. Stretch with your fingers towards the end of the mat. Knees bent 90 degrees or just slightly smaller angle than that. Lifting into the bridge and marching. Again, thinking about that transfer of support. Rock yourself up, grabbing your smaller weights, bent over lat row, feet hip width apart, straight, bent over row, hip hinge position. Set the shoulders down, exhale to lift, squeeze the neck back, inhale to lower. Neck is long and neutral, meaning it's in alignment with the spine. So I'm not looking under my body, but nor am I looking ahead. It's looking over the horizon of the floor as a natural extension of the spine. Frog squat, probably the easiest exercise in this block. I'm going to do it forward facing this time so you can see my knee position. So when you sit down, try and get the knees pressed out, get the elbows on the inside of the knees and stay looking up. We're going to drop into a nice low squat position and press to straight. Obviously, just go at a pace that feels right for you. People do tend to speed up on this one, but the benefit of going slow is you can think about it more as a mobility exercise, and you can sort of ride the edge of the end of range. Can you sit a little lower, press the knees a little wider, or straighten the legs a little bit more on the up phase? In truth, I'm probably straightening my legs a little bit more than I can truly keep my elbows on the inside of my knees, but I'm just sort of prioritizing that mobility element. Plus you get a little extra break at the top. Tips and tricks. 2, 1. All right, here we go. To standing, 4-point leg extension. Down to the 4-point position. If you want to come onto your forearms in this position, you certainly can. Okay, from here, set the shoulder blades down. Lift into the hover. Slide one leg back to the stop position. Notice that my torso isn't moving. A key to the torso not moving is really making sure you keep your weight in your upper body and maintain the breathing and the bracing. Okay, one more time. Either side to make 12. And control lower down. Oh my goodness, we have made it through the second block. We're gonna move into the third block. You ready for this? Before we do, don't worry, you do get a little bit of a break. Again, I'm just going to decompress my wrists a little bit. Why? They are a little bit more sore than usual. It's not this workout. It must be something else I've been doing. That's okay. I'm just going to focus on a little bit of a lower back stretch in our stage in the middle here. The reason I'm going to emphasize the lower back stretch, honestly, is just to make sure that we're breathing down into our whole core. So when we reach into our lateral flexion here, what I want you to focus on is taking a nice big breath and really trying to send the breath down to this rib cage and the bottom of the rib cage, and try and see if you can breathe and get a sense of your lower back stretching or filling with air and feeling like an increase in stretch. I'm just going to support the other side with my arm here. So it's an inhale. Can you feel the stretch? And then can you feel the belly fill, and therefore support the stretch in the lower back, and exhale, deepen the stretch. Again, inhale, exhale. One last time, inhale, exhale, and then come on up, stretch up, and go over, reach, reach, reach. Inhale, exhale. Okay, all right, that was our break. Moving into block number 3. We're gonna begin with a squat into a lunge. And the lunge style we're gonna be doing is a deep lunge, okay? So it's not that upright lunge like we did in the warm-up. It's more of a deep lunge. And the deep lunge really is about the deadlift shape in the lead leg. So what I mean by that is the front leg looks like it's in a deadlift position, so a lot of hip hinge, back nice and flat, and the back leg is just straight. And you can lower down quite low with the body folding over the thigh, and then you use the front hip primarily to pull yourself up to the start position. It really emphasizes that lead leg. There's not a ton of weight in the back leg. Just something to be aware of. One of the things that tends to be the downfall of this exercise is people want to put their whole back foot down, and in the deep lunge you can't. You are up on your toe, which sometimes makes us feel a little bit less stable. Okay, in this first exercise, we're moving from the squat into the deep lunge. So you're going to start with your feet wide. You're sitting into a squat, looking straight ahead. You're going to shift weight into one leg and step back into the deep lunge. Keeping the weight in the front hip, you're going to transfer weight back into the squat, shift the weight to the other side, and step back into the deep lunge. So we are trying to challenge the transfer of weight here and the stability of basically holding a lot of your body weight through one leg, one hip primarily. Obviously there's a stability component to this as well. If you feel like you can go lower to challenge yourself more, go lower. Try not to come out, especially as you return to the squat position. That's the most common area here, is that people start to stand up as they come out of the squat position. Okay, sort of lost count, but I'm pretty sure I have one more other side. 95% sure. All right, from there, return to standing by driving the hips. You're gonna grab your smaller weight here now. You have two options for this next exercise. You can do a side plank from the knees or from the feet. Either way, you're stacked up on your elbow and make sure you're fully elevated out of that shoulder, so you're not sitting in the shoulder at all. Lots of activity from the muscles under the armpits. You're gonna grab your small weight. If you're gonna go from the knees, make sure the knees are in line with your elbow and you're lifting up into a side plank position. Basically a straight line from your breastbone down in between your thighs here, so you're not sort of collapsed down or pushing away. That's actually probably more than normal. Not correct. I won't say cheat, not correct form of the exercise. So from here, you're gonna take your weight to the ceiling, not letting it sit in the back of the shoulder joint, directly up to the ceiling in the active position. You're gonna slowly lower the weight down in front of the chest and raise it back up to the ceiling. You can do 12 like that. If you are feeling very strong in your side plank position, you can extend your legs so you have just a slight bend in your knees. You're gonna lift up into your full side plank position and then similarly slowly lower the weight and raise it back up over the shoulder. You can do this 12 times. The key here is that the body is not swinging forward or back. So you're using the bottom shoulder to stabilize as well as the bottom oblique to hold the position. Two more. Okay, now I'm sweating. This is good. And lower down. Okay, we're just going to do the one side of the body through the first time and the other side of the body the second time through. All right, from here we're going to go planking into the deep lunge. Now, just as a reminder, there's different ways to do this, just like in the warm-up. That's why we introduced it in the warm-up. You're going to go from your plank position, shoulders over wrists, and you're going to try and step up to bring your hand right beside your feet. Now, that's as good as I can do, and I've been doing this a while. If you need to, you can drop your back knee down and bring your front foot up with your hand and then lift back up into your deep lunge and then try and transfer weight into your upper body to take it back. Okay? Just stickier on my left side than my right side. And we all have that good and bad side, right? So do the best that you can. You are totally allowed to use momentum here, okay? We're trying to do 12 in total, so 6 on either side. Try to keep the hips relatively low, so don't let them swing up to the ceiling too much as you transfer back and forth. And you want to think about your back leg staying straight. Okay, so you're not sort of letting it collapse down as you hold the deep lunge position. It's pretty active, the thigh is active to hold the leg relatively straight. Finishing in the plank. Woo! Shoulders. Okay, and then we're gonna finish with the breaststroke. So we're gonna come to laying tummy down, feet and knees, legs, I guess, hip width apart, hands underneath the shoulders. We're gonna tuck the pelvis and brace through our belly a little bit so that we don't use our lower back to lift. You're gonna stretch your arms up overhead, hovering just off the floor, and then you're gonna pull through the water just like you would if you're doing a breaststroke, and try and lift just through your upper back, just like you would if you were gonna take in air at the top of the pool, at the top of the surface of the water. So you're going into the water, diving down, exhaling. As you come up, you're gonna take an inhale, so you have air to breathe out. As you come up, think about stretching through your arms as if you're going to touch your heels behind you. Peel up through your upper back. Trying to primarily lift by peeling and lifting your breastbone and stretching to your feet versus using your lower back. You are using your glutes here to press your pelvis into the floor for a nice stable base of support. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and rest down. Push yourselves back into a shell. Guys, that was exercise number 4, which means we just have to go through the set one more time to complete the workout, okay? So we begin with our squat lunge. I'm gonna come to the top of the mat to this side here now. Squatting, hold the position, step back, stabilize, deep lunge. Transfer weight, deep lunge for 12. I actually like to use more like a running arm. I feel much more stable. Stay nice and low in your squat, remember. She says. To return. Next one was our side plank with our light weight, doing the shoulder lateral abduction. Here we go. Lift up to get, let's go up over our shoulder to begin. Inhale to lower without the body rolling backwards. Exhale to stretch and reach for the ceiling. I really need this. Apparently I have muscle played a lot recently. Plank to deep lunge. Shoulders over wrists, looking at the floor above my hands. Weight is forward, step back. My hip is very happy that we're doing that. Okay, final exercise. Breaststroke. Okay, laying down on your tummy. Feet hip width apart. Set the pelvis. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. Inhale. Counting. I have 2 more. And you are complete. Let's do 2 crocodile breaths. So just laying down on the mat, turn your head to the side, take 2 big breaths and fill up the back of the body.
You're ready for our final stretch. Feet nice and wide. Take a nice big breath. Hold the breath. Press yourself up and straighten your hands. Try and put your hands in a position where you can fully straighten. Fully let the breath go. Let go of the air. Let the back extend. Breathe softly. And lower. And do that 2 more times. Take a big breath. Hold the breath. Press the arms to straight. Set the shoulder blades down. Let the breath go. Breathe softly. Let yourself come down. One more time. Take in a big breath. Hold the breath. Press the arms to straight. Shoulders down. Let the breath go. Back extend. Your breast bone. Your belly stretch. The muscles of the abdomen lengthen. Breathe softly. And let yourself come down. Push yourself back into a quick shell. Take a breath. Congratulations on completing this fundamentals workout. Super good.